Now, if you know someone who keeps jumping on you saying, why do you keep buying physical media? It's a dead format. Or there's no real difference between 4K UHD disc or streaming, then you need to share this video with them. Now, this is a video I've always wanted to do, comparing a physical media disc, especially a 4K UHD disc, against a 4K streaming version. Mostly because, we've all been there, haven't we? We all have that friend, a relative, people online. They continually tell us physical media is a dated or dead format. Stick with streaming. In 5 years, there will be no more physical media. While others legitimately do ask, is there really any difference between 4K streaming and a 4K disc? And so I thought now is the perfect timing because, as we all know, Prey was unleashed on us fans last week on a 4K UHD disc and Blu-ray disc, something we never thought would ever happen. Now, I'm never going to illegally download a movie from a torrent to do this type of video. That's just not fair to you or the filmmakers. Instead, I reached out. I went the extra mile and I reached out to 20th Century Studios, not Disney, because, well, we all know Disney would never go for this. And after jumping through some hoops, I was finally routed to the right person, and I explained to them, hey, this is what we do, who we are, what we do with these comparison reviews, and that I would love the opportunity to compare the physical 4K UHD disc against the Hulu 4K streaming version. And to my surprise, I received a response. And I also received this in the mail. It is a flash drive with the entire film on it. According to this letter that was sent with it, this is a screener that was sent out to different outlets. And according to the letter here, it says that this is the same 4K file used for the Hulu 4K streaming. There is clear evidence of the differences here between the 4K Hulu streaming version and the 4K UHD disc. For one, the disc is almost 70 gigabytes. I think it's 66 gigabytes. While on the 4K Hulu streaming version, it's 6.6 gigabytes. 6 gigabytes. Also, the 4K UHD disc, the bitrate starts around 76, topping out at 196 Mbps, something I've never seen before on a UHD disc. The Hulu 4K streaming starts out around 18 and topping out around 28 Mbps. Now, granted, it depends on how fast your Wi-Fi is, but still, this alone should tell anyone the dominance and power a physical disc has over streaming, that it tops out at 28 Mbps. Now, contrary to popular belief, Prey was in fact always shot and intended for a theatrical experience. It was shot digitally with ARRI 4K cameras, 239 anamorphic lenses, giving a tremendous sense of scale for the big screen. But obviously, as we know, Disney had other plans, just dumping it on Hulu. We are comparing the differences and benefits between a 4K UHD disc against the 4K streaming version. So let's get to it. Now, as I said, Prey was shot digitally, and this physical 4K UHD disc faithfully reproduces all its elements perfectly, showcasing not just the imagery shot in camera, but also the lighting and practical effects that were shot in camera. The color reproduction here on the 4K UHD disc with the HDR and Dolby Vision grading is just extraordinary. A major improvement over the Hulu 4K streaming version. The 10-bit color depth is resounding, showcasing the beautiful cinematography throughout the film. Primary colors are richer and stronger with deeper crimson blood reds, looking much more lifelike and natural here. But it's really all the different tones and shades of greens that really dominates here against the 4K streaming. All the greenery, grass, trees, moss, shrubs, the swampy quicksand, all looks incredibly fuller, lusher, and deeper. It just looks absolutely gorgeous. And all the earthy tone colors have added vitality, breathing new life into each and every shot. From shots of the sky, mountain ranges, to forest locations that look breathtaking, taking full advantage of the vibrant color palette that carries a lot of pop to it. Fire from campfires and torches looks healthier with a deeper orange-yellow fire with a nice slight glow around it. And the Predator's heat vision looks much more stable here and better resolved here on the 4K UHD disc with a truer sense of the heat signatures. Saturation is stronger, now allowing the image to look much healthier and lifelike without looking hot or artificially boosted in saturation. And contrast is dialed in just right, giving a little bit more brightness to the image. And all of this is just impossible for the 4K streaming version to faithfully reproduce. Now, the movie has many scenes that play at night, with some very dark scenes. And this is the area I was really curious about, how these scenes would compare between the 4K UHD disc and the 4K streaming version. And I have to tell you, those worries were set to rest because the black levels look absolutely fantastic. And much better resolved blacks here that are solid pitch black with richer shadows. This is especially useful with the night scenes, giving a truer to life sense of night that looks much more authentic. And this is the area that was the worst part of the 4K streaming on Hulu, is we got some brighter blacks, and I even noticed grayish blacks, which tells me the film was artificially brightened for Hulu streaming, which is never a good thing. The deeper blacks and shadows on the 4K UHD disc penetrates deep into the screen. This also helps in drawing out much more information, bringing out terrific details and even some colors that were otherwise engulfed under the poorly resolved black levels on the 4K streaming. The white levels are also looking more natural and brighter whites here on the UHD disc. This especially helps with daylight scenes, giving much more authenticity to these scenes, whereas the 4K streaming looked dimmer or even a little muted. Alright, but now we're going to get into all the details and texturals, and there's an abundance here. And this is an immense difference between the two versions. Details and objects, especially in the background, but also with close-ups, had a slight blurriness to them. The 4K UHD disc stays constantly clear and razor sharp with more lines in the image, really bringing to life finer details from facial features, tribal makeup, costuming, and the excellent production design, allowing us to see it with more clear, distinct visibility. The design of the Predator alone is something to behold, and all his weaponry and tactical gear looks incredible, with all the designs and textures remaining very sharp. The Predator's helm alone, made from a skull, looks insane. We can now clearly make out all the imperfections, lines, cracks. There's also more depth and three-dimensionality now opening up the image with a wider, more spacious scope, with all those sweeping landscape shots creating a much more grander scale as it was intended to be seen. This is a major highlight to the 4K UHD disc that just crushes the Hulu 4K streaming version. I don't normally give huge props to Disney because, well, they are Disney, but they knocked it out of the park with this one, giving Prey a wonderful 4K UHD disc and a home run in the 4K UHD disc department. Again, that just slaughters the competition with the Hulu 4K streaming. Alright, now let's dig into the audio presentation of this 4K UHD disc, and it includes an English Dolby Atmos track and a DTS 5.1 Comanche language track. Why the Comanche track also didn't include a Atmos track is beyond me. That's really confusing to me. However, the movie was shot in both English and Comanche, so there's no difference as far as the language translation goes, so in that department, either track works. But I mean, come on, we finally have Prey on 4K UHD disc, something we never thought would happen. So really, I'm happy with what we have. And this Atmos track is also a major example where the disc is vastly superior over the 4K streaming audio track, with a very aggressive Dolby Atmos track that dominates, just cripples the 5.1 track on the Hulu 4K streaming version. I mean, right from the get-go, the track is just massive, completely immersing you, sucking you into this world. The movement and object placement has pinpoint accuracy in all directions. From the sounds of nature moving throughout the soundscape, we hear wildlife and humans moving across the surround channels. But the height channels, I've never heard in Dolby Atmos mix you utilize the height channels this much before. It plays a major part with this track. From wind, sounds of birds and wildlife, but also when the Predator ship arrives, it literally hovers down from above you, flies from the rear channels, through the surround channels into the fronts as if it's going right over you. And when the Predator is observing people from the tree lines, we can clearly hear all the little crackles of leaves and tree branches as the Predator moves, and of course the Predator sounds itself. Now, a great reference point here between the 5.1 track and this Dolby Atmos track is when the French trappers lay their big trap for the Predator. The entire sequence is just extraordinary, giving an excellent dynamic response to the entire sound field. Low ends also comes in with a lot of weight and presence to it. The bass rumbles and rolls, especially from gunfire. Even the tomahawk thugs carries a nice weight to it. And the film's score just sounds dynamic, spacious, and powerful. And there's even some really nice off-screen dialogue and sound effects that sound terrific. Alright, so here it is, my overall score for Prey on 4K UHD. I mean, really, do I have to say it? I think you can guess what I'm going to give it. I'm giving this a resounding 5 out of 5 for video and audio. It is just a powerhouse of a 4K UHD presentation. High reference worthy 4K UHD disc that I'm going to be using from now on to showcase my home theater system. But now here is the real test because I'm handing this video over to you. Head over to the comment section and let me know. When you look at the differences here between the 4K UHD disc and the Hulu 4K streaming version, which do you think looks better? Or do you even see any comparison at all? Head over to the comment section and let me know. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes here and comparing the differences and talking about Prey on 4K UHD. I want to give a huge shout out, a huge thanks to 20th Century Studios for sending me the 4K digital file that was used for the Hulu streaming version. Thanks so much for that, because without you being able to do that for me, this video wouldn't exist. So huge props to 20th Century Studios for sending this to me. As always, guys, keep physical media alive, and we'll see you next time.